Well, good morning. My name is Joey Presutti. I am one of the pastors here at the Crossing Church. And what I wanted to do is, I wrote a poem, and it's in light of the Holy Week coming, Passion of Christ, Easter the following Sunday. And so in writing this poem, it just kind of came to me as I was thinking. I'm a parent of two beautiful, amazing girls, and one of the thoughts in my mind was, what would it be like if my child was sent to the cross? Like, what would that look like and feel on a personal, emotional level? So, something kind of I wrote from Mary's perspective, and so I'm going to read it, and then we'll transition to the sermon today for Jonathan. Mary, how did it feel? Mary, how did it feel to travel in the night without a speckle of light? Fleeing with your family to the land of the Nile, you must find shelter amongst the Gentiles. Your newborn's life at stake due to Herod's hate. You hold on tight to Jesus because you know his fate is just too great. Mary, how did it feel to raise a Messiah? Humanity's hope, but Nazareth's pariah. Bullied by others, yourself mocked by all the mothers. Even worse is the anxious hurt. Your son at times gone missing, unable to find him, not understanding the dismissing. The dread turns instead to anxiety. You find your son teaching the scholars of society. A mind beyond all comprehension, words of wisdom coming from the wisest of interventions, hurdles you manage, fueled by God's grace, knowing there's a purpose in all of this you must endure for the human race. Mary, how did it feel to see the crowd surround your son as he went to heal, witnessing legions of demons coerced to heal, to see the blind's reaction when they first saw light's refraction, to hear the mute praise, the cripples dance, the lepers cleanse, and God's glory advance. People outcasted clung to your outcast, the deaf hearing their laughter at last. Miracles so vast, unsurpassed by all the prophets of the past, seeing your son loved and wanted by all, must make if others weak, knees weak enough to fall. Mary, how did it feel watching your son be arrested? False claims brought that should have been contested, wanting to defend him as any mother would, baseless slander against man misunderstood. You hear when the sentence is announced, crucifixion demanded without even an account. That feeling of powerlessness. You can't help him, you've become nothingness. He is dragged away to uncertainty in the back of your minds, thinking, my boy needs me. Mary, how did it feel to wanting to clean the sweat off his own face? Precious innocence marred in disgrace. The same hands you had held, now pierced with nails. Feet that once learned to walk constrained by the forces of hell. The boy, the ribs that were tickled, now speared and appeared with blood that downward trickled. The boy you had conceived would be crowned as a king, hanging without honor amongst thieves. Your son displayed under the spotlight of the universe, dying on a tree to become humanity's curse, telling him that he would be okay, that his suffering would pass. It is just but a moment of pain. Hearing whispered words from a parched mouth that draws, just a drop of water instead of vinegar with gall, as his agonizing cry pierced the darkened sky, breathing in his very last breath, the son you had loved the most, now smothered by death. Mary, how did it feel when you couldn't even afford a spot for your son's burial plot? Could his life be for naught? You relied on strangers to keep his body from danger, others judging you for lack of care, saying, look at that mother over there. She claims to have raised a king, but doesn't have a tomb to spare. She clearly had no love for him if she would have prepared better for his own end. Mary, how did it feel that Easter morning, while you were mourning when you first heard the good news, did your heart sink? Did you believe it could be true? His body had gone missing. Hell couldn't contain him. He had risen. You rushed to find him, to patch his old wounds, to caress his hair, to cure his blues, and then you saw him. The good news was true. Seeing your son since his death, his splendor beyond compare, hearing his laugh instead of Calvary's despair, seeing his face untouched as if divinely repaired, becoming the very answer to your own prayer. Crying in mother's tears of joys, your precious boy, once slain, now remains with blood moving in his veins. Death had lost, but life regained. Mary, how did it feel? On Mount Olivet, saying goodbye to your son as he ascended from it. Surrounded by heavenly beings, you stood there in awe and sightseeing. The people who loved him most bid their farewells to the Lord of hosts. He had to leave to continue his Father's work. This had happened before. This wasn't his first. He now leaves to send the Spirit to earth. Mary, how did it feel when for the first time it was real? Perhaps even surreal that you heard salvation's call from heaven. You repented of sin's leaven. You came to faith in the Son, that in the Spirit in you conceived. You believed not only that he was who he had said he always would be, he was your most perfect Son. He was the one from all of eternity. He was the Son of God, the one who did miracles while others found him odd. And for a moment, your relationship disengaged with his sonship. You now saw him as the cure to your poisonness, the Lord of your wretchedness, the Savior of your brokenness, and now the God of your hopelessness. Mary, how did it feel when you breathed your last breath, when you entered death, when you crossed that great divide, when you awoke above the cosmic skies, when you saw your son once again, when you could not help but run to him? His glory unconstrained, incapable of description by human refrain, despite his beauty and his fame, something remained ingrainedly unchanged. He may have been the God of the universe, but for you, Mary, he will always be Jesus, the one whom you gave birth. Mary, how did it feel?